SVUE students, it is the week of March 22nd. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now it's time for the Avid Spartan Pledge. I am an avid Spartan, always prepared for the day, very respectful to all that come my way, intentionally safe and determined to exceed. I am an avid Spartan, and today I will succeed. Avid job highlight. I predict that you will like this job. A meteorologist. As a meteorologist, you should be able to make sound operational decisions, analyze data accurately, and give accurate weather reports so that people can know what the weather will be like for them. Sometimes you'll have to report from locations that can be dangerous, like during a hurricane. On the technical side, a meteorologist needs to be able to apply mathematical and physical formula to use in a computer model application, such as the one you see on TV. Ultimately, a top-notch meteorologist should have a solid knowledge of the atmospheric physics and chemistry so that they can understand the changes in the atmosphere. To become a meteorologist, you'll need a bachelor's degree in atmospheric science or a closely related field such as a specific atmospheric phenomena. Degrees in physics, chemistry, or geoscience may be adequate as well. Some of the required skills of being a meteorologist include the ability to analyze and report data, work well with a team, interest in weather systems, proficiency in mathematics, computer literacy, and strong written and verbal communication skills. Classes you are taking now include math, so that you can understand the data and numbers that are coming in. Science, that you can better understand the global weather patterns and the atmospheric changes. Language arts, so you can be able to communicate accurately and precisely. And of course, project lead the way, so that you are up to date on the best technology for the job. Some colleges in the area that can help you on your way to becoming a meteorologist include University of Illinois, College of DuPage, Northern Illinois University, and Western Illinois University. Miss Rockwell's class deserves a shout out because they researched what it takes to become a meteorologist.
Black History Facts.
Today's fact is on Henry Ossawa Tanner. He was born June 21st in 1859, and he lived to May 25th in 1937. Why are we talking about him today? Because he is an African-American artist and the first African-American painter to gain international acclaims. Even though he had begun to gain confidence in his artistic ability and begin to sell a few paintings, he still had a lot of racism to overcome. But his persistence got him through, and now he is represented in art museums all over the United States, including the St. Louis Museum, the Brooklyn Museum, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Speaking of art, this week we have a very special interview brought to you by our very own art teacher, Mrs. Hubbard. Take it away, Mrs. Hubbard.
Hi, Mr. Camargo. Welcome to Southview Upper Elementary. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much.
We are so excited to have you with us today. I have a lot to learn about the type of art that you make. And Mr. Camargo is a type of artist called a graphic designer. Graphic design is a type of art that combines art that is created by hand with technology. It can be used for a lot of different purposes, as we've been talking about in our classes. Can you tell us how you first got interested in graphic design art?
As I was leaving 8th grade, exiting middle school, going into high school, I was deciding on which high school in my town I wanted to go to. And the new one that was a technical school that was opening up had a graphic arts program. So for 4 years, I could be in rooms where there was Macs and you had access to the Adobe software. And then with that, they also had a separate print shop where you can do screen printing on clothing, as well as vinyl cutting for stickers and logos. So blending all the elements together for 4 years, I kind of was able to dabble in all those different elements, which was a very nice experience for me.
That is such a cool and unique experience. I'm kind of jealous that I didn't go to that high school.
No, it was very nice. But ultimately, what we learned a lot when it comes to the technical parts of the software, we used a lot of YouTube videos, and then we would just apply those tutorials in the software as we were watching them. So,
wow, I bet the kids would love to hear about that.
YouTube didn't exist until I got into 6th grade. I'm still very upset about that, right? It would have been very helpful to have it in like 3rd grade for some of those projects where I didn't know what the teacher was talking about, like all you guys, you grew up with YouTube every single day of your life. It would have been nice for us. That's all I'm saying.
It's just too easy these days, huh?
Mm-hmm. But that's a good thing, right? It's better that you're able to learn that much faster at whatever frequency hits your wavelength, right?
Yes, I agree. You're able to just learn anything whenever you want to at the touch of a button these days. So can
Absolutely.
you walk us through what does a typical day look like in your career?
So let me show you a video of what was happening over the weekend that might be interesting. So if you guys are on TikTok at all, you can follow me at Kicksart. This is my account. I'm going to be playing this video that I just recently posted.
I need to go ahead and put a monitor on the middle of the wall, which I have.
So this is me
I'm also going to
updating
rearrange some of the posters.
one of the
as well
walls
as
in my
add a light.
room where I
I'm
do a
gonna
lot
need
of my
some
work.
space. Much better. Next, I'm going to take off all this stuff in the middle and then raise these 4 posters to be the height of this one. All right,
I'm
so now that
installing a
that's taken
monitor
care of,
so I
I'm going to
can
go ahead and
actually
set
have
up
a
this wall
secondary
mount.
screen.
You know, I'm really not too sure the proper order about going about doing this. All right, well, that's a good start. I don't know.
I literally
why
had no idea
expected
what I was
the TV to
doing.
look bigger on my wall. I also added this light that I got from Amazon.
This was a nice $15 spent.
What I'll do next is frame larger versions of these 2 poster designs and place them on each side of the TV. This will give you a good view of the 2 size differences. So now that poster has to go and that hook has to be moved over. We're making some more progress. And there we go. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm eventually going to add a poster up on top of the TV over there, but for now, I think we're set.
A lot of art on your walls.
Oh yeah, so some of those are projects, like the photos on the top are just old photos that I found and I just put on there. But like I knew that that was a lot of like old work that I've done and kind of a mess. So that was done 2 years ago. I really wanted to kind of give it a more professional look. Hence me going through adding the monitor because I needed a secondary screen. It's super helpful. And then I wanted to have my actual artwork on the walls. And I'm sure there's a pause button. I don't know if it just plays all the way through, but yeah, those 2 posters what I end up putting on the wall. So it's just neat. Now, here's the thing. It's not necessary, but getting that done is very helpful going forward.
And why is that?
Because when I do a lot of work at that specific table filling orders, and that's a time-consuming task, if I just have my laptop, there's usually 3 or 4 different things I want to look at one time. And I'm having to shuffle between those 3 tabs. Whereas if I can have a secondary monitor where those 2 things are up right at eye level, I can see what the information is and I can quickly use my other hands. That cuts the time I'll have to spend in filling orders by like 3 times or maybe 4 times. It's just very
So it
helpful
allows you to
having that extra.
multitask.
Yes, very efficient because I'll need to have the actual email pulled up for the customer's order, the actual order itself, and then if I want to watch a YouTube video or something, that takes up a decent amount of the screen, right? So I want to have that. And I can have
Well,
that
I
on
think
the
a
monitor.
lot of the teachers here at SVUE could relate to that as they have like 3 or 4 different computers set up also.
Yes. It's just that like some of you guys might be thinking, why do you need more than 1 monitor? Until you start thinking, oh, it would be nice to have a second monitor, and then you'll never want to go back. So that's how it is.
Wow. Well, because of all the art that I saw up on the walls there, I saw a lot of shoes. It looks like you really love to draw shoes. What inspired you to draw your first shoe?
Okay, so growing up, I'm a naturally creative person. So drawing is like one of the easiest things you can do to let out that creative outlet. I would always be that kid in the class that was really good at drawing. There was always that one kid, right? Mr. Draw as well, right? That was me. So I would draw all the time, but it would be nature. So like trees, flowers, never animals or anything, never people, never flesh bodies, because I wasn't into drawing figures. So because I was never into drawing figures, I would never draw feet. And because I never draw feet, I would never draw shoes. Fair enough. But in high school, in 9th grade, we had a project in my health class where we had to design a sneaker. And there was a health component as to how the sneaker was supposed to relate to the athlete in the sport that you picked. So there was that part that was relevant to the class, but I didn't care, right? The drawing part was more interesting. And that was my first time actually trying to draw a sneaker, like the lateral view and make all the different panels and then deciding on the colors. And doing that for the first time, I was obsessed with it because I thought it was so fun. You can do so many different things. There was like endless possibilities, especially with the colors itself. And I just fell in love with it. And from that day, I really haven't stopped drawing sneakers since.
So I see like on your website, so you have a lot of different kinds of shoes that you have drawn. And so I think maybe everyone is wondering, what is your favorite shoe that you've ever gotten to draw?
So this would be the Balenciaga Track 2. So this shoe
It
is really
reminds me of, like, a
interesting.
transformer.
It's got so many different layers, right? And different things that are weaving in and out. What's very fascinating is that it retails at about $1,000. So the closest I'll
Oh,
ever get to it is the 3 hours that I spent drawing it. Fair enough.
oh goodness.
But it's cool. It's really chunky, right? So I can relate.
Oh my goodness. Well, I really like how that one turns out. And so, how is it whenever you're trying to, do you find it difficult to draw a 3D object as a 2D picture? Do you find that difficult?
Well, I'm always using photo references. So the
Okay.
photo is going to take a picture of what actually happened, the truth of, the shape of the shoe, how the light is hitting it, and you just follow the actual visual from there. And it's weird because sometimes I'm going to encounter scenarios where I'm not sure what I would normally do based on my quote unquote style. So I can actually show you an example of that, of a situation where I had to draw flames. And for my style, that's very weird because flames in and of itself are very pure and abstract and kind of transparent. And in my style, all my lines are very clear and clean, and there's not a lot of layers in there for blending or anything, because that's left up
Mhm.
for the actual artist depending on their skill to add that in. And then we can go to Nike. Again, this is kickstart.com if anybody's interested. Let's scroll down to the Air Foamposite one. So in
Oh,
this
lots of designs.
situation, yeah, over 540 on my website. So
Whew.
this is the original sneaker. And this upper is, fairly weird, but with my style, it makes sense how I've executed this. However, in this situation, we have the Air Foamposite 1 Paranorman, and the upper has like this green flame. And again, flames are kind of weird for me to draw because I have very thick and clear lines. So this is the solution I ended up going with for that. And I had no idea that this would be the solution, but I stuck with it and it works. So I live with it.
Wow. That is really cool with those different layers. Well, it sounds like you've loved drawing shoes your whole life. So I guess my last question for you is, do you think that other students can turn drawing hobbies into a successful career too, just like you did?
So, especially with TikTok, I think we've seen a lot of good examples of that, of people who have either interesting lives or do something that's interesting or satisfying that can grow a business out of it, because a lot of people want to continue to see what that thing is. Like, one example is somebody who works at a paint department and he takes videos of the different paints and the colors that go into the paint. And then you have to try to guess what the color is. And then he pops it open. Oh, it's that color, right? Like, and that guy's making, $100,000 a year because he's got such a big following and brands want to sponsor him to use their paints in his videos. That's such
Wow.
a boring example, right? That guy makes $12 an hour mixing paint, but now he's making $100,000 a year and he can just go into the paint store whenever he wants to film the video, right? Like, and if that's like that simple of an example, if your interest is more complicated or you have something that's unique, like do you have a pet ferret? That's probably pretty interesting. I don't know that many people with a pet
I
ferret.
know a few.
Do you have a very interesting house because it was made of brick from the 18, like who knows? There's so many interesting things and there's many variables, but as you experiment, you'll learn what works best for you in terms of how to communicate through social media, and social media is how you communicate to the world. So the fact is you have the option. Our parents didn't, and then our parents would have thought this was witchcraft. So we have the option, right? This is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. We have art everywhere, and there's so many different kinds of fields that you can go into just in art alone. And we also have a lot of talented artists here at SouthView. Thank you so much for sharing your creativity and your time with us today, Mr. Camargo. I know many of us our students are also very excited to meet you themselves during your presentation on Friday, March 26th. It's going to be from 2:30 to 3:15. Are you excited?
Absolutely, of course. I've done like 70 of these presentations over the past month or so. So I love
Wow.
doing
Well, we
this.
really
This is fun.
appreciate you meeting with us too. And it's going to be
My
such a
pleasure.
fun end to our third quarter as we spring into quarter four. Hey, students, do you have any questions for Mr. Camargo? Submit your questions to your teacher using our Google form for it to be answered during our presentation. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Wow, that was really cool. Be sure to tune in on Friday from 2:30 to 3:15 for the live interview. Time for the special day of the week. International Scribble Day is observed on March 27th annually, and it is all about celebrating the creativity and art associated with scribbling, which anyone can do regardless of their artistic abilities. So the last time you scribbled aimlessly to relieve boredom, you might not have known that there is actually a day to celebrate this stress-relieving act of scribbling. Time for the joke of the week. What do you call a slightly funny scribble? A snickerdoodle. Time for a question for you. When did the word doodle first appear in history? Have your teachers email me your answer. This week's shout out goes to Miss Kerner's class. There were a lot of ancient civilizations that would take naps in the middle of the afternoon. Among them were Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. Here's an even more fun fact. Romans used to prescribe naps as an actual medical solution. Pretty cool, right? Maybe you're not too old for a nap in the afternoon. I'm gonna leave you with one last word. Prevaricate. Prevaricate is a verb that means to deviate from the truth. I know you're prevaricating from that grade you got in last week's assignment. I'm Mr. Hubbard, and I'll see you next week.